There was gloom in the air. Few employees were in tears, while the others were finding it very difficult to keep their straight faces. But the employees did not know what they saw that day was just the beginning of a dark era which would witness a lot of suicides and mental error. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and respected guests.
Good morning.
I think you might have already assumed what is the topic I am about to speak. If not, let me tell you. This was a scene which was taken from the day Lehman Brothers declared itself bankrupt. It was a year of the financial crisis in 2008. But standing today in 2019, do you think talking about the 2008 crisis is pertinent? Toastmaster Vinita, do you think it is pertinent? Maybe yes. Even I think the same. Because if you look at the root cause of the global crisis, it was caused by the human DNA. The genetic makeup which prods human beings towards pleasure of getting easy money and steer away from clear-headed thinking. That global crisis onset was due to that reason. But now, if we know that story, we can tell this to our kids and grandkids, so that next time they can see the train coming at them and can avoid that. Starting with the financial crisis, you might find a lot of fat books and content around in the web. But today, I am here to arouse that curiosity within each one of you. In the 1990s, the US real estate market was favorably disposed. The real estate price was like a bubble, inflating its shape and size every day. The US citizens, the government, the agencies were all infatuated with the real estate prices, and they wanted the US citizens to drop everything and just buy a new house. The Americans also dreamed the same dream, and they did not think whether they can really afford that house or not. The banks took this as an opportunity. They started giving out loans to all these customers without even doing a proper due diligence. For example, if tomorrow Toastmaster Sachin goes to a bank with just his iCard, will he get a loan? Obviously not. But things like this started happening in the US. They were not doing proper due diligence because the whole intention was to make the money move out of their door because they wanted to earn a lot of revenue from that. A natural question which can come up is that why were they making so risky loans? That was because they strategized to sell these loans off to a different party which we call as the investment banks, and Lehman Brothers was one of them. The Lehman Brothers and investment banks like those were smart enough to structure all those risky loans into a single pool and create a different kind of structured products altogether, which looked completely different. And on top of that, they also brought in another agency which we call as the rating agencies. The rating agencies, they got their fees from the investment banks and they provided high ratings to those products, the underlying of which were risky loans. So, in this process, each and everyone in the chain was getting benefited. But there was no one to keep a tab on what was happening, the amount of risky loans which was getting accumulated in the system. But as the size of the bubble got inflated, it had to burst one day, and so it did. The borrowers started defaulting, and it had a direct impact on the structured products because the underlying of those products were those loans only. The products started dipping in price. This impacted the investment banks very badly. On top of that, the investment banks also were selling insurance against those products. So because the prices dropped, they also had to make up for the loss. So they were hit by both the sides. This was just the start. In 2007-2008, like a body shutting down, after having too much of alcohol, the US economy also completely shattered. It started with Lehman Brothers declaring itself bankrupt. But it was just a start. It triggered off a domino effect which impacted the whole US economy at large, the tremors of which we can feel even today. Standing in 2019, if we want to dissect the whole reason of what was the reason for the 2008 crisis, we would see it was the human desire and lust to get something more than what its limits are. I think it's time for us now to act in a very wise manner, to differentiate between what is a luxury and what are the essentials. It's time for us to be reasonable. As the IMF chief has said, he has seen looming financial crisis clouds in the years to come. I think it's now time for us to question ourselves and to our progeny. Have we taught ourselves to cut the coat according to the cloth? Only the future will tell. Thank you.